Welcome students. Today I shall discuss with you about the respiratory system of the vertebrate kind of organisms. When we think about the process of respiration, we must think one respiratory surface is highly required for the gaseous exchange. Okay? Gaseous exchange is possible only in the case at where you find the broad, thin, membranous, endothelial arranging and highly vascularized non-nervous surface at where gaseous exchange is possible. That means oxygen intake by the organism and carbon dioxide released out from the organism to the outer environment. Okay, for this purpose, in case of the aquatic animals, we need gills or branchial organs, or some cases also skin or cutaneous surface. In very few cases, you find buccopharyngeal cavity also performing respiration in there. But which animals are remaining in the land-dwelling animals, which are called as terrestrial animals, or avians, who are able to fly in the air or the atmosphere, and those organisms are generally possessing lungs as a respiratory organs. If the gills and lungs is the respiratory organs, that most possesses very well defined respiratory surface. In case of gills, you see gill is the broad and well surface for the gaseous exchange, and consider that one also respiratory surface. Organ lung generally comprises the alveolar sacs or alveolus or alveoli. This is very thin one and highly vascularized, non-nervous, and it is composed by the endothelial cells, and gaseous exchange is also possible in there. That means it has also been elaborate respiratory surface. Okay, due to having these respiratory surfaces in there, you can say to them these are the principal respiratory organs. I already described about the gills to you, which are possessed by the aquatic animals, and by the help of them they also performing the aquatic respiration. No doubt that is the aerobic respiration, but it is called as your aquatic respiration according to the medium. Likely according to the medium of the land organisms or land dwelling organisms or terrestrial organisms, they can use the lungs as the principal reproductive organs. Okay, principal respiratory organs. The principal respiratory organs, okay, would be held in the purpose of respiration. Okay, and these lungs generally constituted by the your alveoli, and alveoli is very thin and membranous, highly vascularized, gaseous exchange possible on its surface, and so it is the better respiratory organs which are generally performing the terrestrial respiration. Okay, that is no doubt the aerobic respiration due to dwelling at the land. That type of respiration according to the medium is also called as aerial respiration. Aerial respiration. Okay, let us go in detail regarding the lungs proper. First of all, I shall go through the lungs of the fishes and amphibian animals. Swimming bladders of the lung fishes, okay, protopterus, generally example of it, are better lungs than those of the most of the your amphibians. Two lungs of the modern amphibia are simple, hollow, sac-like, with a wide central cavity and suspended freely into the peritoneal body cavity or coelomic cavity. They are elongated in the urodels and but bulbous in case of the anurans. I already did that picture on the blackboard. That is the lungs of the anuran organisms, you must find the valvular scenario in there along with the elongation, and that is the character of the anuran organisms or amphibians. Specifically they call as the amphibian organisms. Left lung is usually longer in case of the Urodela, but rudimentary in case of the Sigillinius. And internal lining of your lungs may be smooth in case of the Necturus, or may have the simple in your circulations proximally in case of the Siren and Amphiuma. In frogs and toads, they will be called as anuran organisms. Lungs wall may be divided into periphery by a network of the folds, or called as the trabeculae into the air sacs, or also be called as alveoli. These are the pocket-like structures, and they are richly vascular, lined with the mucous epithelium, and generally secrete the mucus in there. Due to secretion of the mucus, the impurities, dust particles, other invaders will be filtered off and stick in there, and their inner edge bearing your tall ciliated columnar cells, and due to ondulation of it, the air will be directed towards the alveolar sacs or alveolus. Finally, from there, again that air will be also be eliminated out from the alveolar sacs to the outer environment through the nostrils at the end. Okay, and that type of your respiration is called as your what? The lungs respiration, and it is also possible in case of the what? Your fishes as well as also amphibian animals. Okay, then I shall explain you the lungs of the reptilian animals, and in case of the reptiles, lungs is more complicated and also abdominal in location, not in thoracic in location. Okay, but in case of the frog, lungs are present in the thoracic in position. But here, in case of the reptiles are more or less elongated, and their lungs also be extended up to the abdomen. So the position of your location of the lungs in case of the reptiles called as the abdominal in position or abdominal in location. And you take the example your sphenodon. In sphenodon as well as in also snakes, the lungs remain simple, thin-walled and sac-like. But in case of your legless lizards and snakes, the left lung may be rudimentary. Or some cases also be absent in there. In boa, it is one type of this snake. And your python also belongs to it. Python, Python molurus, Python reticulus. These are in Odia called as the ajgar. Boda or ajgar. Boa and python. Both the lungs are functional, but left one is slightly smaller. Okay. But you mark the right one is relatively larger in case of the lizards and as well as also turtles. The wall of the lung is considerably thickened due to inclusions of the greater amount of highly vascularized connective tissue in the partitions, and so that the whole lung becomes spongy. In case of the crocodile, you mark the crocodilian lung must nearly approaches the condition found in the mammals. Okay, and some features in case of the crocodiles are more or less equivalent with the mammalian organisms, but it belongs under the class Reptilia, not in Mammalia. And reptilian lungs also hang freely in the body cavity, and your chameleons, your several long, thin-walled, sac-like diverticula or the air sacs arise from the distal portions of the lung. While the help of these they used to the swell to some part which the frightens the predators and help to escape. And they are producing hissing sound, and by that sound automatically other animals will be afraid to them. And that is nothing, that is the way of escape of that kind of organisms from the others. Okay, and my description regarding the lungs of the fishes and amphibia is finished in here. Okay, and this is the lungs proper of the respiratory system, and my brief description is here. After the larynx, we find the trachea is present. Trachea leads to the lungs, and on this distal end, the trachea will be bifurcated and gives us the two primary bronchi. Each one is called primary bronchus. Each bronchus, primary bronchus, enter inside the lungs, and inside there it is again divided up, gives us the secondary bronchi, and secondary bronchi ultimately gives us the tertiary bronchi. After this, you find the bronchioles. At the end, you find the bronchiolates. In these manners, the branches will be divided up inside the lungs. And you know, this one lobe is present at the right side. That is called as the right lobe. This one present at the left side. It will be considered as the left lobe. Lungs lobe left, lungs lobe right. Okay. In case of the reptilian, or also in case of the some amphibian animals, left one also be smaller in size. Okay, due to smaller, automatically it is differentiated from the right one. The right one is relatively larger. Okay, left lung usually longer in case of the Urodela. That is also one type of amphibian animal, and that is longer in there. It is one deviation character, and rudimentary in also but cicalinous, but internal lining of the lungs may be smooth or may have the simpler in the circulations proximally in case of Syrian and Amphuma, and proximal towards the lungs wall may be what? May be divided and peripherally by a network of the folds and trabeculae into the air sacs, which are called as alveoli, and they are richly vascular and also lined with the mucous epithelium and their inner edges bearing the tall ciliated columnar cells also be noticed in there. In case of the lizards and the turtles, in there must you find the thickened wall of the lungs, and you mark there, they are also highly vascularized, and also partition also be there, and due to partitions they most spongy, and crocodile is differentiated from them, and crocodile and lung generally shows some characters which are equivalent with the mammals. Reptilian lungs also hang freely in the body cavity, and your chameleons, you know chameleon, Bahurupi Jura Kahanti. The several long, your thin wall, sac-like diverticular or air sacs arise from the distal portion of the lung. With the help of these, they used to the swell to some extent, which frightens the predators and helps it to be escaped. However, you can compare the lungs with the amphibian lungs. The reptilian lungs is more complicated and more also fragmented or segmented. Okay, number of the sacs like structure will be developed in there, but in case of the boa and python, lungs are functional, but left one is slightly smaller. It is quite different from the amphibian animals, and the lizards and the turtles, you must they are thick walled in the lungs but highly vascularized. But other cases, no doubt it is more lobulated, air sacs must be found in there, and by the help of them, the organism can performing the respiration. And these are the description regarding the lungs proper in case of the fishes as well as and also amphibia. Along with the reptiles. I complete up to the reptiles. Thank you all.